Welcome to the Heron Outlet. We are pitch side here at Drive Tank Stadium. Guys, how are we?
Freezing.
Cold. Yeah,
Freezing.
very cold, very cold. We are standing right here as we just witnessed the recent preseason friendly against DC United. You guys got to really talk and see the first team and what they were about. Let's just start right there. What did you see from them? Alex will start. Sorry, this is Alex Winley. This is Austin Robillard. I'm Ian Hess. They have to do my normal.
When you're not
Exactly. I have to think about it a little more. So, Alex, let's just start there. The first team, when they were there in the first couple of minutes, a 1-0 loss. Just talk about this team just looks a little different, looks a little quicker, it looks a little pacier, it looks like it's trying to get and go a little more. So just your first thoughts.
Yeah, I think Miami, they have a set plan on what they want to do this year. Clearly last year they had a lot of issues regarding that, and this offseason they got rid of everyone who didn't want to be here, and they brought in guys who were absolutely rapid and quick and are super direct. Ariel Lassiter, for one, in the first half, he was outrunning everyone. He was really direct, really pacey. I think he'll probably be a starter day one. Guys like John Mata, Mo Adams, who can move the ball really well, find those pockets of space and open up the wingers on the side so they can go. As far as other attacking options, Robbie Robinson and Wayne, they were doing their thing. So this team as a whole is completely different. I know are they going to play a back three, back four, but two preseason games now, and they played a flat back three, back five. So it looks different.
But I liked how quick it was in both games, right? Both games looked very similar in terms of wanting to touch and go and have that motion that they have, that they're still having behind us right now. That was something that, you mentioned Ariel Lassiter. I want to get back to that in a sec, but very quick play that they've had in both times.
It seems like there's a lot more players that are more comfortable on the ball in tight spaces, which is something that translates to that direct play. I got to bring up Ariel Lassiter. He's kind of just the person that it revolves around, this direct play, this direct style, the way he can move up and down the wings and receiving direct balls, getting into the box quickly. He goes from the half field line to the box with the ball at his feet in less than 5 seconds. It's almost like it's nothing. And to have an outlet like that with Lassiter, it's huge. It's a different kind of thing for this team. Now, Robbie on the opposite side was not necessarily as good as beating a defender as Lassiter was, but you saw that was the idea they were trying to employ with Robbie as well as Lassiter, and this direct style with two midfielders who can find tight spaces in the middle and play out of those tight spaces as well, and both Mata and Adams to distribute to the wings if they need to, was something that's going to help this offense in a way that we didn't see in 2021.
Alex, let's talk about what the style was in 2020 or 2021 in terms of those diagonal long balls that we saw. We didn't see a lot of that today. It's a lot more tiki-taka. It's a lot more one touch on the ground, hit and go. And we saw that also midweek in the 4-0 win. How does this team transition to that style of play? A lot newer faces. Everybody is talking about it around this building, but a lot newer people that are not accustomed to what this has been the past couple of years that might transition into that style a little quicker than you would have if you're doing the same way.
Yeah, I think Miami these last couple of years, they've just had a mix and mash of players that didn't necessarily fit, and we saw that on the pitch. It was just a mess. But this off season so far, it's been a concerted effort to bring in a certain type of player that Neville and his coaching staff want to play a proper type of not necessarily counterattacking, but not even free flowing, but just direct, very quick type of soccer. So I would say I'll push back on your point about the diagonals. There were times where, of course, like in the second half, I believe George Costa, he switched the pitch really
Well,
well.
but we noticed that, right? So,
Yeah.
so that's where I wanted to bring you in, right? Like George
Yeah.
Acosta in the second half was very diagonal
Yes.
in his runs and what
I
he
think
was
that talks to his play style, like him personally as a player. That's just kind of what George Acosta does. I think for when he was playing for Fort Lauderdale, they called him the wizard in midfield, right?
Yeah.
That was kind of the thing, whether it was off a set piece or across or whatever it was, he was kind of the wizard making those diagonal balls. And I just don't think that was in the instruction for guys like Mota and Adams in the first half. It probably just wasn't. And another thing to notice too, another guy who was making a lot of those passes last year was Gonzalo Higuain when he dropped in as a 10.
Mhm.
And something I noticed in this first half was that Gonzalo Higuain did not drop in as much. There was no dropping in from Higuain. The instruction must have been to stay forward, and they did that, and they did that successfully. You didn't have to drop in order for them to retain possession. I will say, early on in the first half, DC did have a good amount of possession. Miami grew into the game very well. They grew into the game, and as the game went on, they started to get that control back, and they were on the ball a lot more than DC was at the latter part of that first half. And that was no thanks to Higuain dropping because he didn't need to. So that it just a world of difference if you look at last year compared to this year.
One thing that I noticed, especially in the second half, was how much this team was communicating with each other.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because there wasn't a crowd this time. Maybe that's because they could hear each other a little easier, and maybe that's like a bubble thing or whatever. But this team was loud to each other from the back out. And what that sort of communication could possibly mean for a team like this, a young team like this, that doesn't have necessarily like the same experience that previous iterations of Inter Miami has had. How do you think communication is going to go in terms of success in what this team wants to do?
It's extremely important. We saw last night. We saw tonight. I mean, Vika was especially vocal. He mentioned in his post-match conference that he needed, that's a prerequisite to being a center back in this league, is to be vocal and to lead your back line, which he did super well. Ian Frey, Christopher McVeigh, they all played very well under Mavika's instruction, which is huge considering Mavika's only 22, 23 as well. So he led his back line really well. And I don't want to say last year the club didn't necessarily have that, but like it wasn't there all the time. So seeing it even in preseason, it shows that there's a different precedent that's being set so far.
You want to touch on it?
She said Ian Frey, and when I come to, I just want to talk about Ian Frey.
Let's talk about it. Let's talk about it because he's been fantastic.
No,
I mean,
I
like
think
2 times in a row now.
Yeah.
Like it's been unbelievable.
Yeah, Ian Frey for me has been the standout of these 2 preseason games. I can talk about good things he does in all facets of the game for nonstop. But let's just start with the defending because he is a center back. He's composed. He's 19 years old. He's composed. He can take anybody in a one-on-one. He doesn't look frantic when he's defending in certain situations. And another thing, too, about his defending is his recovery speed, even after this ACL injury, is phenomenal.
Right.
He takes long strides. And I was more evident in the first game against the Peruvian side. But in this game, DC United didn't break the back line as much as the Peruvian side did. There wasn't much of recovery for him. But in that first game against the Peruvian side, Ian Frey's recovery speed is phenomenal.
Yeah.
And to see that from a 19-year-old, to be able to read the game in those situations is really good. He defends in one-on-ones really well. And another thing, too, going forward, we saw him play that one long ball to Robbie Robinson. You reported on it from training that he was playing amazing long balls.
It's just it was unbelievable when I was here training that his ability to hit those diagonal balls, it was almost spot on every single time.
It was spot on to Robbie in the first game. If you saw that, I think it was streaming on the app, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
But there's a lot to like about Ian Frey's game, and something that I didn't see last game that I saw this game, especially sitting pitch side, was his technical ability.
Yeah.
As
several Cruyff turns.
Right, exactly. I mean, it's like, I think you put it best when we were talking just now, is that it's like nobody's in front of him. If he's one-on-one with a player in front of him and he has the ball, it's like they're not there. And the way he shrugs him off, he can get by anybody, whether it's a turn or a step over or whatever it is, a little dummy move, anything. Ian Frey, I have no
Starter.
Exactly. Starter material, in my opinion. We'll have to see what happens when Quinteros and Lowe come back. But Ian Frey is making a name for himself in preseason.
But also, just to mention, Phil did talk about Quinteros and Damian Lowe getting that international action in his post-match press conference just now, and the fact that that is valuable experience. So even though they are not currently with the club, definitely good things. We are freezing, so
Yeah.
we're going to go back inside because I don't think that we will survive the winter. We are all South Florida kids,
Literally.
and we cannot do this anymore. So for Alex Woodley and Austin Robillard, I am Ian Hess, and we will see you on the Heron Outlet for our normal pod coming up next week.